Well, what is stress and how do we manage stress? Well, one of the things I want to talk about today is stress and how we manage stress and how pervasive stress is. It's everywhere. My name is Joyce Odidison. Welcome here into Personal Wellness Services Inc. And today I want to give you that well-being intelligence perspective on stress because often we talk about stress as if it's something foreign that's going to come into our life and take over our lives and where we can't manage the stress and I want us to just have a common sense conversation about stress. You see, stress is any kind of pressure that we put on our body, on any part of our body. Athletes stress their bodies when they're running. So the long distance runner will stress his feet, his legs, his muscles. He has to build muscles. You have to stress the muscles so they get bigger and they grow and they get stronger, right? So stress is any kind of extension other than our normal. Actually, for some people, waking up in the morning is stressful. Because, yes, especially if you're tired and you want to sleep in and you have to wake up in the morning, that is a stress. There are good stress, we call that eustress, and there are bad stresses. And it doesn't matter if it's a good stress, which is the eustress, or the bad stress. We actually have to give our body those times for pause, for rest, and for us to be able to bounce back. And that's the whole conversation about resilience. And we'll get into a conversation about resilience another time. But today I want us to focus on stress because sometimes, stress is like the enemy and it's this foreign thing and we're like, the stress. Life is stressful. What we need to do is have the intelligence to recognize, okay, I'm going to be having a stressful week. I'm going to have more on my plate. Anytime you put more on your plate, you have more demands, you're requiring more of yourself. That is going to be stressful. So you have a responsibility to then do things to compensate. It's just like anything else in life. Too much of anything is bad for us. Humans really are supposed to be balanced, right? If your temperature goes over 103, they're saying, oh, you have to go to the hospital, body temperature. We really should be at a certain pace for us to be at optimal health. Certain temperature. Some people take ice bath, right? That is to lower their inflammation and so that's another way they're trying anything we do that's out of balance with our norm. Some people have lives that are more stressful than others, but that's their norm and they can manage at that pace and that's okay. There are some people who are A-type, they always on the go and so they also need to pay attention to managing their stress and ensuring that they're taking time to unwind, time to relax, because we do have to go through the various emotions and our body needs to balance. So we need that drive. We also need that soothing time. That's why sleep was created. Like, hello, the creator of the universe knows that humans need rest time. So we were created with these mechanisms in our body that says it's time for sleep. I need to rest. When we rest, when we sleep, actually, and we'll talk about sleep. This is not a sleep, but we're talking about stress. But these are some strategies to help us to relieve our stress because when we sleep, our body, our organs rest. Actually, research is now showing that when we sleep, all the dead cells in our brain are cleaned out. There's some like a little vacuum cleaner in there cleaning out of the dead cell. So think if you're not sleeping, that means your brain is not getting the rest and it's not cleaning. So you must be walking around with a lot of dead stuff up there, right? So think about that and, and give yourself that time to rest. Having time with family, it's another way to counteract our stress. Having conversations, interacting, talking to people, being friendly, having good conversations. Now, it's better to have no conversation than have really bad fighting conversation, stressful, because our conversations can be stressful. The people we spend time with can be stressful. So you have to think about, who am I spending time with? Who am I hanging out with? Who are my friends? Who am I spending time with that just allows me to relax and just be without any pressure, without wanting anything from me? Because when someone wants something from us, there's a level of stress to that. So stress is everywhere in our lives. It's not anything in our life can be stressful. The things that matter, it's how we view it, how we think about it, and how we respond to it. So for instance, I'm a mother. I have two adult children who are mega doing well, don't need anything from me. But if something happens to them, right, or they have a mishap in their life and they call me, and they're very different. So they will, one of my children would send me a message if that child is having a mishap. That child will reach out. And I know when I get certain message or phone calls from what I know, something is going on. What is it? So that will give me a bit of, oh, right? I get out of my norm. No, I'm a little bit anxious. I'm concerned. I'm worried. That is a normal human response. And those are okay. But if I'm anxious and upset and worried about my kids 24/7, that is going to be too much for my heart. So we have to understand how stress affects our body. When we're stressed, there's more cortisol in our system, more adrenaline in our system. And those hormones require us to do something, right? When we talk about the same thing happen when we're in conflict, when we're anger, when we're angry, we feel these emotions and we forget that they're hormones secreting in our bodies based on what we're feeling. So if I'm stressed and I'm anxious and I'm worried and my body just keeps producing cortisol all the time, well, I'm going to start getting a big tummy. I'm going to start getting probably some digestive issues. Probably going to get some achiness. So we have to start thinking about, when you're having those symptoms, are they coming from stress? What about the good stress, the eustress I talk about, right? The eustress is important because it's what wakes us up in the morning. It keeps us going, brushing our teeth, combing our hair, wanting to look pretty, right? That's a good stress. It's a good motivator. Right? I think without stress, some of us would be lazy. We wouldn't wake up out of bed. We wouldn't brush our teeth, right? There are some people who wouldn't, right? Maybe you and I would, but there are some people who, if they didn't have any requirements or no responsibility, they wouldn't do anything. And life is about growing, responding to the needs of those in our lives, and acting on our responsibilities, fulfilling our responsibilities. And some responsibilities are too big. Sometimes we put on more on our plate and we take on more than we need to. So, looking at what are some of the things on my plate that I need to take off, right? Do I have too many people supervising? Is my boss asking me for more things than I need, that I can provide? Is the deadline too rigid? Is there conflict in my home? Am I not getting along with my spouse or partner? So these are some stresses that it's okay to have for a little while, but if they're going on consistently over and over again, then it becomes too much. and it starts to affect our body. We can end up with heart disease, hypertension, diabetes. So before, we didn't know how we got those diseases, but now there's research showing us there's so many ways to understand why and how we get ill and develop chronic illnesses. There is no reason for us to still do so. And yet, we know there are more adult medicated in the universe than ever before in our planet Earth. So why? Why are we not using the well-being intelligence that we have? Because when we talk about well-being intelligence at Interpersonal Wellness Services Inc., we're talking about having the intelligence, that insight, that extra level of knowledge so we can utilize the information that we have. There's research. Our doctors tell us we can read, we can see on TV, we can Google, we can learn online, yet we're sicker, yet we're more stressed, yet we don't understand. There's another aspect of stress. This one on food and stress that I will share another time. We'll talk about how certain foods can cause stress on our system, right? Even the way we eat and what we eat can add to our stress. I mean, there's so much toxins in our food and in our environment. Those are added stress. So everything in our environment can potentially be a stressor. But then we have to start looking at our mindset. If I look at something and I say, oh, I can do that, that's not too hard, then I am not creating the sensation of stress in my body. But if I look at the same thing and I said, oh, this is so hard, oh, I don't know if I can do it, it's so hard, I'm dejected, then I am adding mentally, I am choosing to put myself in a place of stress. So look today at the tasks you have to do. And I know some of us have more on our plate than we ever anticipated. It's huge. Look at your task and ask yourself, what are some things that I can shift my mindset about and to say, you know what? I can do that. That's not too hard. I can do that. And then think about the things that I need to say, oh, this is too much. Or maybe the things I need to say, this is a lot, but if I cut it up into pieces and I do this part and I do this part and I do this part, it will not be as overwhelming and I will not feel as stressed. So we need to become intelligent about how we perceive stress and how we execute the things in our lives to reduce those stresses. And that's called well-being intelligence. So part of what we do at Interpersonal Wellness Services is we teach the well-being intelligence competencies. We do that because people have the knowledge, but they're not applying it intelligently. And so all that we do is now giving you the tools and the competencies to develop those well-being intelligence competencies that allow you to manage your life well and reduce your stress, reduce your conflicts, have that self-mastery, and live the life that is fulfilling and experience well-being in every aspect of your life. My name is Joyce Odidison, and you can find more of this by connecting with us at interpersonalwellness.com, and you will find the link in the description below. I look forward to hearing from you. If this was helpful and you got something from it, leave us a message. And don't forget to subscribe. Take care and be well. Bye now.